Hello folks, welcome back. In today's lovely short video we're going to go through the contrast that's in Colscaradh, which is a lovely question to get, I think, because the poem is essentially about contrast. So the verse 1 is in contrast to everything in verse number 2, so really nice simple questions itself. So let's get started on this. Now we know that the word contrast is the word Colscaradh. That's it there. Now we need our verb, don't we? So tá. So contrast is. And then we have that lovely verb, chun tosaigh, that we keep using all the way through our poetry. Chun tosaigh means to the fore, prominent. Any of those will be perfect. So it's to the fore, it's prominent. Muas le, saturated with. So le, with. So saturated with. Let's go for the first part then. Tá an don. The poem is. Tá an don. The poem is. Muas saturated le Colscaradh with contrast. Now, if you want, you can add on this. I like to use some of these phrases anyway, but these are kind of your top key phrases that you would have. So, trí úsáid a bhaint os, through using, by using, any of those translations would be perfect. So, trí úsáid a bhaint os, by using, Colscaradh, contrast, right? Irene le Pádraig na mínta difriúla a chur an bhaile ordan. Let's go for this part here, right? Irene le Pádraig. And that means Pádraig manages. Pádraig succeeds. So Irene le to succeed. So Pádraig manages na mínta difriúla a chur an bhaile ordan. Now I'm going to put all of this in red, and this is kind of a key phrase that I keep using in all of the poetry, right? Because it's a really nice thing and I don't see it very often enough. Let's go for the first part here, right? Mínta difriúla. Mínta difriúla is the different desires, the different wants, the different wishes. Any of those would be perfect, but it's an infinitive, right? So we have na mínta difriúla, and then we have this longer phrase here, a chur chun an bhaile ordan, and it is long, I do get that, right? But it's so worth it. A chur chun an bhaile ordan means to hammer home to us. To hammer home to us. Now we can put the infinitive together. Na mínta difriúla a chur chun an bhaile ordan. To hammer home to us the different desires. So it's an infinitive in Irish, but trust me, it's a little bit long, it's a little bit complex, but I'm going to use it in all of my poems, and it stands out a mile that this is definitely a top student that we have here. Now again, we do not need to learn off set sample answers, that's key. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our imagery from our images from verse 1 and verse 2. That is key, that's paramount, and then we can just use a couple of these phrases to focus in our examiner's attention. So let's go for this one. Buineann an fila úsáid os, I'm going to throw a line all underneath that, and so should you, because I use this in all of my poems. The poet makes use of. Buineann an fila úsáid os. Now in this case he makes use of the word santic or hantic. Now hantic means to greedily want something. Déanann sé amach. We know that the word amach means out. It's grand. So déanann sé amach. He makes out. Lista. A list. Lista de gachrod. A list of everything. Look at that structure. Lista, a list, de, of, gach, every, rud, thing. Same structure as English. De gachrod. Now we have a connector. A v. Let's translate this, right? A v means which was. So that's how you'll have to translate it. And don't forget, all of these in English are more complicated in English. Which was, which were, who was, who were. You've got 4 different variations in your English language. In Irish, for us, it'll just be a v. It'll never ever change. So the complication actually comes on the Irish or on the English side of things, not the Irish. So a v, you might want to translate that as which was or which were. Ag tastal on var, needed by the man. Ag tastal, needed, ona, from the, and var, man. And we can use the exact same structure again. Ag tastal on man, needed by the woman, needed from the woman. Ag tastal on var, ag tastal on man. The rare more the him to a right, I'm going to get you to underline this because you will see this coming up in the next 3 poems in our videos. And it means as the poem continues on, or as the poem develops, or as the poem goes on. Any of those translations would be perfect. But it's a lovely waffly phrase. Like, it doesn't mean anything, but your examiner's like, that's kind of nice. I never see that. So it's a nice phrase to have as the poem goes on. Taken on Lehor. We already had that in the previous video, so I'm going to use it again. The reader understands. Taken on Lehor. The reader understands. Go will Colscaradh agus Cibhlann. Let's go for the word Colscaradh. We know as contrast. What about the word Cibhlann? that V pronunciation in the middle of it, civlinch, conflict. So we need now, the reader understands that. So we need a kind of a connector now, don't we? Need to kind of link this, that the reader understands contrast. So let's go for this word here, go will. That there is, go will, that there is. Cuttersnacht and civlinch, conflict and contrast. Vi ruddy tábhachtach don virch. Let's go for this word here. Tábhachtach, important. Don means to the, and virch, two people. Tábhachtach don virch, important, to the, two people. Same structure as English, because Irish and English are actually quite similar. Now we need to go and get you your verb, right? So let's go for vi ruddy. Things were, past tense, right? Things were tábhachtach, important, don virch, to the two people, but vi a narj dírithe in áitne difriúla. Let's go for this part, right? In áitne difriúla means in different places. In different places. We know that dírithe means focused or directed. If you want to translate it as directed, that's perfect. And then let's go for the first part here. Anarj means their attention, And we know that the word V means was. Now bring it all together. Remember, Irish is the verb first language, which means we have to go for the V now, right? So we know that V is past tense for were or was. So V anarj, their attention was, dírithe, directed, in áitne difriúla, in different places. Is cosúil, we keep using this over and over again. Is cosúil means it's clear, it's obvious, it's evident, it looks as if, it seems as if. Any of those will be perfect. That's kind of what cosúil means. So is cosúil, it looks as if, it seems as if, it appears as if. Now let's go for this one here, right? Arj on ear. Arj on ear means the man's attention. Arj on ear, the man's attention. And I'm going to put this in blue for 1 second. Right. Arj on ear. Now let's go for the middle part here. This is going to connect our two sentences, right? Go rev. Let's translate these. So we have is cosúil, it looks as if, go rev, that, and then the man's attention, arj on ear was. Dírithe, focused. We had that already. So focused, air on chalk, on the house, and ruddiest aun, things inside it, and the aun just means in it. Vi an farcéile sásta leis na páistí. Now we know that the word sásta is the word for happy, content. So vi an farcéile, past tense here, the man was. Vi an farcéile sásta, the man was happy. Leis na páistí, with their kids, same structure as English. Leis, with, na, de, páistí, children. And leis an chalach, with the fire. Remember, the fire is a big thing for us in the poem. In verse number 1, he kind of wanted to be by the fire raising the kids, so it's quite important. So leis an chalach, with the fire. So he's happy with the kids and he's happy with the fire. Ahai is a great word to have in Irish. Ahai means his fill, his absolute fill. Vi ahai, he had his fill. He had everything he needed. He did not want for anything more. Once he had the fire and the kids, that's all he needed. Vi ahai. So he had his fill, he had everything he wanted. So chalk, in the house. We're going to go for that word again, is cosúil. It seems as if, it looks as if, it appears as if. Go rev arj an mra. Now the same thing, right? Arj on or arj na mra means the woman's attention. So is cosúil, it looks as if. Go rev arj on arj na mra, that the woman's attention was, and we have that word again, dírithe, directed. So her attention was directed. Air on don war. On the world, on the big world. So it's cosúil, go rev arj na mra, dírithe ar an don mór. We know that the word here, sásta. Sásta means happy, content. So ní rev she. She was not, she wasn't. So ní rev she wasn't, sásta, content. Le pósa tradiisiúnta, and this is really, really important. Le pósa tradiisiúnta. Now we know the word le means with, right? Le pósa tradiisiúnta, with a traditional marriage. Le pósa tradiisiúnta. We have the word there, sásta, again, for happy, content. And again, ní rev she. She was not, ní rev she sásta. Now what we have here is an infinitive. So we're going to use an infinitive in Irish. We have shrían a chur. Shrían a chur. So let's go for the word for a chur first, right? A chur means to put, and shrían or srían is the word for a restriction. So we're going to bring a sentence together, right? Ní raibh she was not. Sásta, happy. Shrían a chur, to put a restriction. And the orthu féin just means on herself. So orthu féin, on herself. Bhí she ag éirí. We know that the word ag éirí is wanting, right? So wanting. And we know that the bhí she was. Perfect. So bhí she was ag éirí wanting. Sail splodroch. This is really, really important in this actually. Sail splodroch means spontaneous life, or an active life. Splodroch is to do stuff that's spontaneous and fun and yeah, I suppose exciting. So she wanted to sail splodroch, an exciting life, a spontaneous life. And she wanted to sail currach. Currach means exciting. She kind of wanted stuff that was different every day. And this horrified the man. He was like, absolutely not. Sit by the fire and let's raise kids. So she wanted more, basically. So let's go for the word again. Ag éirí. We had this already here a second ago, so let's use it. Ag éirí means wanting. And we have the ní raibh she again. So ní raibh she was not. Ag éirí, wanting. And we have an infinitive. Ave. Ave means to be. To be. So like in French, you would say être. In Spanish, you would say ser and estar. And in German, you say sein. So our equivalent in the Irish language is ave, to be. So let's bring it together. Ní raibh she was not. Ag éirí, wanting. Ave, to be. And I love this word. Chantathe means kind of boxed in, trapped. Chantathe, trapped. Sa síl sin in that life. Is féidirling an lag vishnach a bhra. I'm going to go for this part here, right? The first one we have is féidirling, we are able. So that's that there. So is féidirling, we are able. And now we have an infinitive, right? An lag vishnach a bhra. An lag vishnach a bhra. Let's go for that verb always in our infinitive in Irish. A bhra means to feel. And an lag vishnach means the despondency, the depression, the sad feeling. Lag vishnach is when you feel quite sad that you can't go on, you feel quite depressed. So let's bring that right. Is féidirling, we are able. An lag vishnach a bhra, to feel the depression. And the word uhi then just means from her. Now, I'm going to show you a little trick. The reason why we can see that uhi means from her is because she means her in Irish. So there is my I towards the end. Uhi is the she part. So uhi, from her. Now folks, that is us done with the contrast. Very prominent piece, but remember it all comes back to your images. But make sure you throw in a couple of those phrases throughout your images to direct your examiner's attention, to let them know that you are focused on the question of contrast. A very, very, very common question in this poem. But as always folks, remember you tick it off that you revised it with me. Well done. Any questions, we can always have a chat on the live grinds every week. But other than that, well done folks. Good to meet you. Slán inish.